so excited because it is Tuesday, and on Tuesdays from now on, Mikey, um, well, I think honestly, every Tuesday moving forward during football season, considering we are doing another dumb fantasy football league, it would be perfect that, well, if Monday Night Football is the night before, we come on Tuesday, everybody's wrapped up, the week's wrapped up, and we are all set and we can see where everybody stands for the week. So, without further ado, it's time for your weekly recap of another dumb show, another dumb show, another dumb show, another dumb fantasy football league. We're going to get a good recap of everything that's going on in the league from this past week. First 2 weeks, the first week, we didn't really do anything for it because I was dealing with all my mouth stuff. I was dealing with all the, all this oral surgery crap that's been tearing my mouth apart. So we didn't get anything the last week, but we're starting here this second week. And I have some recaps for you guys. I spent the whole day putting together some things that I think would make it easier for us to recap the Fantasy Football League versus me just pulling up this stupid ESPN thing and trying to navigate my way through that. So I put some graphics together to help us go through where everybody stands. So I'm going to work backwards with this. Let's see, where is this bad boy here? Hold on one sec. All right, so there are 12 teams in the Another Dumb Fantasy Football League. And in the league right now, we're going to work from last to first. And we will go through and we'll talk some stats and we'll talk the league standings as we go. Let me turn this down just a little bit. Look how loud this thing is. What the hell is it? There we go. All right, bring that down a little bit more. All right, so here we go. What we have here is statistics for our 12th place team, the Bone Crusher. The owner of that team is Neighbor Dave. That is his logo there on the left. Neighbor Dave is now 0-2 on the season, and he is currently in 12th place. Neighbor Dave's top performer so far after 2 games is Kirk Cousins, the quarterback for Minnesota, with 45.02 fantasy points, and he is the 8th overall. Kirk Cousins is the 8th overall in the league in fantasy scoring this year, according to the ESPN league that we're in, our PPR league. And Bone Crusher's next opponent, he's facing Go Cup Yourself. That is Chris K's team. They are currently 1-1 on the season and 8th in the league. And so let's see, who do we got next here? And in 11th place, Agugula, owner Brad L. Now, I had to take a little bit of liberty with Brad's logo because Brad had the exact same logo as Neighbor Dave. They had the same logo. So I had to do something to separate the two of them. So I thought, what better than to put some Agugula behind the one you use. So Brad, I hope you don't mind me doing that to your logo, but that's what I did for this. So the Agugula team, owned by Brad L., is currently in 11th place with the 0-2 record. His top performer, though, is Keenan Allen from the Los Angeles Chargers with 45.3 fantasy points, 7th overall in the league, so not bad. His next opponent, Agugala's next opponent, they're going to be facing now, Jerry, God love him, he's a great guy, but I believe Jerry misspelled Marauders. I think he was going for Marauders, but he put it as Marooners. But I just love it. I love saying Marooners. So maybe it's because he's a Raiders fan or something too. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, the Marooners they're 1-1 in 7th. They're the next opponent for Agugala. And then now next up, coming up in 10th place, we have the Ocean Gate Titans. That's owned by listener Ken K. They are 0-2 as well. Currently in 10th place in the league. Their top performer, Chris Olave, a wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, with 33.8 fantasy points. Taints the same. They have now his best player is in 34th place. That's pretty bad. Not good at all. With the next opponent, the Aegean Icarians, being 0-2, coming in, they're in ninth place. That's GK's team. Speaking of them, they are right here in ninth place. The Aegean Icarians, owned by GK. Now, interestingly, they have the top performer in the entire league, Tyreek Hill from Miami, wide receiver. He has 59.5 fantasy points. He's first overall in points in the league. They are 0-2 and in ninth place. So the rest of his team is really dogging right now. I mean, that's a big difference, to have the best player on the league and then just completely dog from there. So feeling for George or G, whatever. I believe he's going by G now. Feeling for G, that you got to be excited to have the number one performer, but then the rest of the team just falling apart. That sucks. So it reminds me of the Browns. Coming in eighth place, we have Go Cup Yourself. That's owner Chris K. He's 1-1. His top performer is Devontae Smith from the Philadelphia Eagles with 40.8 fantasy points, 16th overall in the league. Next opponent, that's neighbor Dave's team, the Bone Crusher, 0-2 and in last place as we saw earlier. Next up in seventh place, the Raiders, owned by Jerry M. He's got his beer logo there, and he's in seventh place. He's got a 1-1 record. His top performer, Brian Robinson Jr., running back from Washington. Guy got shot last year. Ended up coming back from being shot and performing very well. He's got 42.5 fantasy points, and he's 11th overall. Next opponent, Agugula, 0-2 in 11th place, Brad L. So the Raiders, Brad trying to get out of the cellar, and the Raiders looking to get over 500. Next up, Austin M's team, Judge Judy. That's my daughter's boyfriend. Who I would argue, I think, Mikey, can we agree? Your team's got a good name, but I believe his has the best. I think Judge Judy is really the best, especially with the logo we put together and everything. I love.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Austin did a good job with his. So as far as that goes, I'm going to give him props for the best team name in the league, and really ended up picking up the best fantasy, possibly waiver wire pickup with Puka Nacua. From the Los Angeles Rams with 52 points, second overall in the league. Now, I don't know when he picked him up, if he was able to take advantage of any of those points, or if he just picked him up on the waiver wire and is going to be taking advantage of him moving forward. When he faces Sent from iPhone, who is currently in first place. That's Chris H's team with their 2-0, and we'll see theirs coming up here in a sec. But then we see here the Skull Crusher, Mikey's team at 1-1, fifth place overall in the league. Mikey's top performer is the running back from Dallas, Tony Pollard, with 42.1 fantasy points, 12th overall. Mikey's next opponent is an undefeated, the Wooies, second place with Pat Wooey. So, Mikey, how do you feel about that upcoming matchup against a 2-0 Pat Wooey team?
I don't feel comfortable at all. My quarterback room's a disaster.
Yeah, what's going on in your quarterback room?
Deshaun Watson and Mac Jones.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you have Deshaun as your quarterback. What a train wreck.
Guys averaging $170 a game and 6 sacks a game and fumbling the ball. And
so bad. He's got no command of the offense or the team or anything.
None.
You can almost see it in the huddle.
It's like there's no drive. It's like he's got no drive, no fire.
Yeah, he's really terrible. He's really terrible at running this team right now. I'm really disappointed with him, especially now with Nick Chubb going out. You got man, and I got a weird text today from not a weird text, a crazy text from my son. He sent a tweet over, and I forgot to pull the tweet and the picture of it, saying that. And what's interesting is the Browns are saying he has an undisclosed knee injury. So I get this tweet today from my son saying that some people, when you hyperextend or bend your knee in that direction, you can tear an artery that runs through the back of your knee. And if he did tear that, he might potentially have to have his lower leg amputated.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter this morning too.
You saw that too.
But they said the same thing when Teddy Bridgewater hyperextended and blew out his knee. They said the same thing with Adrian Peterson did.
Okay, so I don't.
It's very rare that this happens.
Well, it ended up they ended up that's why Bo Jackson had to have his career ended, because when he dislocated his hip, it messed up that artery, and if it popped out again, it could potentially tear that artery, and he could die. So that's why the greatest athlete of all time had to quit playing because of that potentially tearing an artery. So that's crazy with those running backs, with those just being so undervalued around the league. And then the team who values their running back the most loses their running back. So big ups.
Hey, at least Kareem Hunt is visiting the Cleveland Browns again today.
He is now. There's all kinds of talk today. There's three options: Kareem Hunt, or Jonathan Taylor, or you have Cam Akers. Trade for Cam Akers or Jonathan Taylor somehow, and then or just pick up Kareem Hunt. I don't know how we're going to trade.
Hunt would be the best answer.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to trade for any of those dudes. We have no draft picks left because we got Deshaun Watson. So, and I was so excited. Well, I wasn't excited about him personally, but I was very excited about Deshaun Watson as a quarterback and the play that we were going to get from him, and we didn't get squat. So, all right, Mikey. So not feeling good with what's his name running the show, Deshaun Watson. As we move along here into fourth place, one of the only four undefeated teams, so technically tied for first, if you ask me, even though I put fourth place. Another dumb team, that's my team. We're 2-0 with our top performer, the number one pick overall, Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, Minnesota Vikings, with 48.9 fantasy points, third overall in the league in fantasy points. And my next opponent will be John Gruden's Gmail, another undefeated team owned by Brad H. And here they are right here, as a matter of fact. 2-0, third place, tied for first, essentially, with we're all being 2-0. Top performer, Christian McCaffrey, engaged to one of the hottest women on the planet, Olivia Culpo. Man, what a hot family. Have you ever seen all those sisters, Mikey? You ever seen his wife or his fiance?
Never even know. Nope, didn't even know he was married or engaged to be married.
Are you kidding me? This is one of the most just like naturally insanely beautiful women on the planet. I'm trying to find a picture over here. Tab. All right, yeah, here she is in Sports Illustrated. Just insanely naturally hot.
Yep.
I mean, she was, I think, Miss Universe. So yeah, she's definitely Christian McCaffrey's a lucky guy. Let's just say that. But she is in a family of three sisters, and the other two sisters also not bad looking at all. They have a reality show that I've watched that's worth watching just because it's actually pretty decent reality show as far as all those kind of crappy sister and celebrity reality shows go. It's all fake bullshit, but not not bad watching. I think I talked about it on the first go round actually of ADS, because one of the guys on the show, one of the sisters had a deal where every year one of the guys, her husband, would get a free pass to go out and hook up with some chick and bang some chick out. And that was one of the storylines on the show, was it was that time of year when he was supposed to go out and do that. And what's that?
I said hall pass time.
Hall pass time. And they ended up getting a divorce because of it, because she couldn't handle it anymore. He'd had too many hall passes and thought he'd grow out of it. But no, they ended up getting a divorce because of it. And man, she's been on a thirst trap tour on Instagram ever since. That's Aurora Culpo, very, very hot. So anyway, back to Christian McCaffrey and John Gruden's email. Brad H, I know his girlfriend said he put a lot of time into his team, and it shows with a pretty good showing so far. Now in second place, Pat Wooey and the Wooies in second place. Now, I put their top performer, his top performer, strangely enough, is the Dallas Cowboys, the defense. 51 points for Wooey's team from the Cowboys. What an amazing defense, led by probably the best player in the league right now. What's his name? What the hell is that number 11?
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons. I kept trying. I was mixing it up with Micah Fitzpatrick. I was mixing the two names together. Anyway, so the Dallas Cowboy defense with all those sacks and that performance they had in the last two games have just been fantastic. So he's got 51 points from the defense. And next opponent facing Mikey, 1-1, 5th overall. And then we have our leader sent from my iPhone, you son of a bitch, owned by Chris H. He is in first place. His top performer is the wide receiver that I used, and I swear to God, in my fantasy football leagues, I would get stuck with this guy every year. And he's just moderately consistent, and he'd have one decent game a year, and that's Mike Evans.
What? The guy averages 1,000-yard seasons for his entire career.
I swear to God.
Maybe the guy's always up there in touchdowns and yards.
I always felt like when I needed a big game from him, I never got a big game from him. But you know what? I lied. I was one play away from winning my fantasy football league last year. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was one play away from it. So I can't complain too much. But you'll see that is his top performer. And his next opponent is Judge Judy, Austin's team. So far, things are looking pretty good. So Mikey's nervous about his next opponent. I am a little bit nervous too because I got facing another 2-0 team. So here's just a final look at the overall standings here. Excuse me. You'll see just a recap of the standings to kind of I'll break down everything we just went through. Mikey, 5th place behind Old Dumb. Sorry, bud.
Man, I was only a few points out from being 2-0.